with y'all? Any good news? Any bad news? Any news? Yer. Let's go. Yer. There we go. We out, yeah. Yo. That's fantastic, bro. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm super happy to hear that. Very proud of you. Let's go. It starts small and then it starts to gain momentum. Okay, so we out here getting wild with it. Doing crazy things. That which includes understanding the universal spiritual laws that have been given to us. Today, wow, what a divine coincidence, y'all, because we're doing the 8th commandment, which is thou shalt not steal, and yet it's the 8th of October. Talk about divine timing. It's whatever, we just out here, we quantum with it. We are quantum with it. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm freaking happy you're here. Sorry I'm popping on a little bit later than planned, but all is well. All is well that ends well. And what happens in life? Everything tends to end well. Okay? So, y'all, we are gonna explore. I'm probably gonna be slightly more quiet tonight, so you could probably turn your volume up a little bit. But we are essentially exploring the 8th commandment, which is going to be an epic journey together across the universe, the multiverse. Yeah, so essentially, we'll just start getting into it since it's already 8:30. So essentially, y'all, the 8th commandment of we shouldn't steal anything ties into integrity in all exchanges. Okay? For our chakras, that is going to tie into, we're getting towards the end of the 10 commandments, which also means we're rooting into the depth of the lower chakra realm. Okay? Because the second tablet of the 10 commandments is to do with human to human behavior. The first tablet is human to source divine, God within. Because as we know, God is not anywhere except for within. And within the fabric of reality as well, in the quantum field. Okay? So, the chakras that thou shalt not steal are rooted in, of course, the solar plexus of power, and then also the root chakra, which we all know and understand is mostly our material grounding, to include stability, right? Food, shelter, water, all the needs and necessities. Now, when we counter the evil hand, this is the evil hand part of the 10 commandments, right? Evil hand is taking something that is not yours to take. Now, when we counter that, essentially we are receiving to share, right? And the Kabbalists, they talk a lot about receiving versus giving, or revealing, having something revealed to you versus taking it. So the one ethical question that I think pairs extremely nicely. Thank you all for being here, by the way. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. This is fantastic. Okay, thanks, Ethan. Let's get him out. Bye. Bye, blockage. See ya. Never. Thanks a bunch, Ethan. I appreciate that. Cool, guys. Thank you. Welcome in. So we're just getting started. The party is popping off. We are going to ask a quick question, which I think is quite interesting and funny, because it's, if someone stole $1 million but gave it all to charity, should they still go to prison? It's a pretty good ethics question. Kind of a funny ethics question that we can sit and think on a little bit. Now, so as usual, we're going to jump right into the numerology behind the number 8, because as we know, we live in quantum binary code, which is zeros and ones. We live in numbers, essentially, and words are also numbers, okay? Pondering the orb. We out here. Yeah, number 8 is like literally one of the best, in my opinion. If you think about it, exactly, King Perp, exactly. It's 0, which is completion of 0 twisted on its side. If you took a 0 and you twisted it and laid it on its side. Yeah, I love it. So, which is funny that today's October 8th as well, because, wow, like, talk about divine timing. We out here. So, when it comes to the number 8, y'all, as we already know, across many traditions, it's an extremely powerful symbolic number. And as already popped into the chat, oh, thank you, I love you as well. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you guys had a good day. Let's end it on a high note together, discussing a very high spiritual law, the universal law. Now, the number 8 symbolizes balance and eternal flow, and also that was in the chat, the infinity number, right? So it's a symmetrical figure, the 8 shape, which represents an unending loop, giving eternity, giving forever, giving quantum beings. This is us, okay? So, thank you guys for joining, and I appreciate y'all being here. So, biblically, we know that number 8 actually points to new beginnings and also covenant renewal. On the 8th day, circumcision was marked entrance into God's covenant, and Jesus rose on the 8th day, the day after the Sabbath, symbolizing eternal life and new creation. So in numerology, it's abundance, power, all of our material success. It's the never-ending loop of eternity. And it's harmonizing our outer ambition with our inner wisdom, because as we know, God resides within. So this helps us in achieving prosperity and serves both the soul and the society, because as within, so without, as above, so below, all those Hermetic sayings. Now, the duality represents the balance between the physical and spiritual realm, governing cycles of cause and effect, which we've talked about cause and effect a lot. Our boy Toddle has his 4 different causes, which Brownie points to anyone who can put the 4 causes of Aristotle in the chat. Now, it's similar to karma, right? Because every action we have and every action we take has a ripple effect, equal or opposite reaction. So it depends on how much you're trying to get with essentially the amount of molecules that you want. And let's relax on talking about anything that has to do with appearance, because appearance is fleeting, and appearance is we're not even our bodies, guys. These are vessels. Have you heard of a car or a vehicle? Have you driven in a car or driven a vehicle? Or has a vehicle driven you now that we have automated cars? Very similar. Our bodies are like that, are kind of like energetic cars. So do not get attached to vanity. I do like to put myself together, but that's because that's what I'd like to do for myself. Okay? Now, so back to the number 8. As we know, and 8 will transcend the cycle of 7 completion within nature, and also signifies the supernatural realm as well. Okay? So, miracles, transcendence, divine justice beyond ordinary creation. And we are going to highlight a little bit within Buddhism this evening, because we spoke about Buddhism previously a little bit with, giving and receiving and what that looks like within their religion, which I really like. So the Noble Eightfold Path in Buddhism offers a structured map to ethical living and enlightenment, further showing us that the number 8 is symbolic of spiritual and higher order and consciousness. Okay, so philosophically, it can also represent equilibrium, as we know, 2 balanced loops, and harmony. It's giving yin and yang, right? Unseen and seen, mirrored in its stacked circles. Also, within the Chinese culture, 8 is cherished as a highly auspicious, sounding like wealth, embodying prosperity and good fortune. When we look a little bit into our girl Dolores Cannon's teachings, Our Lady, she's not a girl, she's like an empress of all things. We'll see that the soul's eternal journey through the lifetimes are balancing earthly desire with spiritual evolution, okay? So ultimately, the number 8, alignment, it gives us and invites us to alignment with the universal law. So the commandment, thou shalt not steal, is not only honoring what belongs to others, but it's also about living responsibly, guys, within the infinite cycle of giving and receiving and eternal renewal. Okay, so we'll dive into a little bit of what Dennis Prager says. Thank y'all for being here. We got like 10 peeps in the chat. This is crazy. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Let's go. Our boy Dennis Prager at PragerU, here's what he says about the 8th commandment. So, when we speak about do not steal, it's one of the most far-reaching of the commandments because it touches nearly everyone, right? Now, murder is the stealing of a life, adultery is the stealing of a spouse, false testimony is the stealing of justice, right? There are many ways we can steal other than just with our hands, so you see how so many things are very much so interconnected. Now, coveting is the desire to steal what belongs to another, right? Trying to keep up with the Joneses. Now, unlike the other commandments, it is more open-ended. It doesn't actually specify what not to steal. And therefore, we can go ahead and fill in the blanks ourselves, right? Which means nothing is off limits. Okay? Nothing. It covers the 3 main areas first: forbidding stealing people, making kidnapping and slave trade clear violations. The second thing, it protects property, because as history shows, where private ownership is stolen, whether by powerful elites within the system or oppressive government, we have freedom and even life are stolen in those scenarios. So the third thing that Dennis Prager says it extends to is the non-material things like reputation, dignity, trust, intellectual property. To slander, humiliate, deceive, or plagiarize is to steal from another what may never be restored. But as we all know, the good karma clock will always restore and renew, whether in this life or the next. So in this way, the 8th commandment actually encompasses nearly all wrongs, which is pretty cool, reminding us that humanity, if we just together kept this one law, the world would be far more just, far more peaceful, far more beautiful. Okay. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate y'all. Limitless, let's go. Yeah, essentially I do read a lot, and then I pray for one beforehand to be shown what I need to teach on, and then I've been kind of following a little bit of a pattern with what I wanted to talk about for each commandment, kind of following a baseline pattern of discussing, of course, as we all know, Dennis Prager's view, because I like his more straightforward, kind of more logical, straightforward mindset. He's not as like spiritual, if you will. Dolores Cannon, which is the opposite of that, more spiritual mindset. The Kabbalah, which is everything Jewish mysticism from the rabbis and the sages. Like, so smart, these people. Jewish people are so smart, you guys. We give them, a lot of people have like bad looks on them, this and that. I'm like, the Jewish are actually a people group, guys, who for years and years and years have been intentional with study and intentional with growth and intentional with learning and applying to understanding things down to the not just like the book or the paragraph or the word, but the actual vowel or the letter. Letter is what I was trying to say. Like, that's how minute they get with their studies. The Kabbalah is not diabolical, and it's good that you're here so you can learn the actual truth and start to open up your eyes. Because, yeah, calling something diabolical is also an extreme, and as we know in this class, anytime we move from extremes, there's probably missing information, right? So, you might not like the Kabbalah, but it does not mean that it's diabolical, and that's an opinion, and as we also know from this class, an opinion is the lowest form of knowledge you could have. So, let's go ahead and not just name things, let's have more substance when we're popping these things into the chat. Okay, so if anyone doesn't know the Kabbalah, as above, so below, amen. The Kabbalah is similar to the Bible, where you have a bunch of different books written by different, authors. Anyways, so let's get back. Yeah, my peeps, my long-term study peeps in the chat who are showing up every day, just let me know if there's someone I need to kick out, because, just had the heart palpitation. Bro, I have those all the time, at least once a day. I'm like, am I okay? I think so. I'll be like thinking about something. It's almost to the point where it kind of is giving me a cadence where I'm like, okay, this is trying to tell me something, and I don't think it's trying to tell me something in the physical. I think it's trying to tell me something in the spiritual. When it comes to all things, y'all, I really appreciate, you guys popping things in the chat. I don't want to deter people from putting things in the chat. But essentially, when you think of religion, you don't want to compartmentalize things, but it's easy for us to compartmentalize religion. Why? Because we already have the titles. Christianity, we have Judaism, Buddhism, Taoism, Shinto, like all these religions, right? Hinduism, like, you name it. Catholic, then you got all your columns of the different religions, and then you got all your branches off those columns. Well, the studious person will not zoom into just one thing and be like, oh, that's right. The studious person is going to zoom out and is going to study each and is going to see, okay, what is true, what is similar. There are many threads across all of these different columns that combine the tapestry of God, universe, it doesn't matter what you call it. Essentially, it's God within. The all, the one, the Holy Spirit. Okay? Amen. Y'all hear me loud and clear, y'all get it. So, yeah, I highly recommend, if something triggers you, if you get triggered, to look into it. You're triggered for a reason. I was actually triggered slightly the other day by Mary Magdalene. It was a small trigger, but for me to get triggered usually does take, it catches me off guard, because I'm like, wait, why am I triggered by this? So then I start to look into Mary Magdalene, and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm triggered, because I didn't have enough information. It solves a lot of problems, guys. Being curious, questioning everything keeps you in the flow and to grow with the quantum of the universe, and to not stay like pond water stagnant. As we all know, even pond water is not stagnant, but it moves at a slower pace. Okay, so I want to, since we are talking about the Bible, I talk about the Bible a lot in here, because I feel like, yeah, so you're welcome to stay, but we don't need to be all like weird in the chat, Mr. Flostradamus or whatever. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about Genesis. Is it okay, Mr. Flostradamus, if I talk about Genesis in the Bible, or is that going to trigger you? I digress, guys. I don't mean to be filtering more energy to the darkness. However, try to transmute some of that for the light here. So I wanted to tell you guys, one thing you'll notice when you look into the 10 Commandments, and or you can just listen to my chat right here, right, because I'm telling you, but when I looked into the 10 Commandments, I'm like, okay, there's a pattern here. These 10 Commandments must have been done, like someone killed, someone stole, someone was adulterous, right, before the 10 Commandments were put together. And we do see that in Genesis. All these commandments were broken, and there was a need for these commandments to get back on the path to enlightenment as a people. Yeah, and I actually do like Nostradamus, so I don't know. Anywho, so when we look at the first reference to stealing within the Bible, it appears, of course, within Genesis, chapter 31. It's the story of Jacob and Laban. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Laban, Laban. So Jacob essentially leaves Laban's household with his wives, children, and flocks, and then Rachel takes her father household idols without telling Jacob. So Laban pursues Jacob and accuses him of theft, and he says, "Why did you steal my gods?" His little idol figurines thingies. And that's in Genesis 31:30. So this moment essentially highlights the gravity of stealing in early biblical history, not just in terms of property, but also in the deeper spiritual sense, as Rachel, the one who stole, her act was seen as both a violation of trust and an intervene with Laban's spiritual identity. Because, yeah. So we're breaking a couple of commandments here, right? We're freaking lying and we're stealing. Rachel. No, yeah. So this sets a precedent in scripture that stealing is not merely about material possessions, but also about taking something sacred or essential that belongs to another. As we know, there's energy within everything. So you're not only taking the physical item, you're taking the energy attached to it as well. And we all don't understand what type of energies other people are attaching to their own belongings. So that can be a very dangerous thing energetically, right? Outside of the 3D of not stealing. Now, Yeah, so the 8th commandment, you shall not steal, is a safeguard for both earthly and spiritual integrity. We can talk about that another time, Jezebel. So let's go ahead and dive into Dolores Cannon a little bit. So cool that y'all are here. I appreciate y'all. I'm so glad y'all are here. Now, as we know, she has like, I don't even know how many books she's got. She's got what, like 20 or so books. When that lady was on planet Earth, she was going hard in the paint. Going hard in the paint. She's so impressive to me. So anyways, so Dolores Cannon, for anyone who doesn't know, if y'all are newer, I'm a huge avid reader of all of Dolores Cannon's books. I'm actually jumping around in this one. This one's one of the last books she wrote before she passed away. It's The Hidden Sacred Knowledge. I was reading, this is where I got triggered by Mary Magdalene, but I was reading the last chapter. God bless it. I'm literally like, sometimes you just gotta go to the end. Haven't read the beginning, y'all. But yeah, you're kind of cracking into my brain here. So yeah, it's hiding Jesus' teachings. Interesting how there are many things that are missing from our tapestry of reality. Interesting, isn't it? So back to this. I absolutely love Dolores Cannon. I hope to reincarnate with her one day. I'm gonna add that to my daily prayer. Hey, soul sister. Anyways. Reality facts. Facts, y'all. Yeah. So, yeah. When I get obsessed, I get obsessed. I'm like, let's reincarnate together. I'm probably losing my voice because I have important things to say. You hear me? Yeah. I definitely did not drink enough water today, and I will do better tomorrow. Because we got things to do. You know, we got things to say, we got things to learn, we got things to grow on, like, we got toil in the soil. That's what we got. So, back to Dolores Cannon. So, she has a lot of wisdom, and I haven't read this yet, but oh my gosh, I need to get this immediately because of all of our conversations that we have on here. Her book, Jesus and the Essenes. So, yeah. I want to stay on topic with my notes here, but there are more things that I could say around this topic. So, with thou shalt not steal, not as a rigid moral edict imposed by an external deity, as we know there's just energy, guys, and there's no Zeus in the sky, even though I love that, and I wish, that was a cool thing, right? With the lightning bolts, there's no Zeus in the sky. There's just on the earthly plane, in the spiritual plane as well, there are tiers and hierarchies, but no one's necessarily controlling. The hierarchies are based on evolution. You're in a higher hierarchy based on the evolution of your soul. Transcendence, quantum transcendence, okay? Now, yeah, so the 8th commandment is basically a timeless spiritual principle rooted in the soul's innate understanding of cosmic order, harmony, and karmic balance. In some of Dolores Cannon's regressions, she uncovered Jesus was an enlightened Essene teacher. Now, hold on one quick second here. Because I really want to look up the meaning behind this word for us really fast. Because I feel like we need to do that. What do we got going on in the chat? How do I know what, Tony? How do you know what you know? You tell me. And you know what? Okay, y'all, how do I know what you know what? What? Tell me what. When I actually post this, and I don't think that it records. Yeah, it doesn't record the chat, so when I actually do post these, it's gonna be so funny when people watch these back and they're like, wait, who's she talking to? What is she talking about? Well, I'm talking to the chat here. We don't become God, we already have God, the power within. How do you describe your beliefs? How much time do you have? Are you medicated? Sweet tooth medicated? Okay, y'all, be nice. Like, let me know if there's someone I need to kick out. We don't need to be toiling in the soil in the chat. Y'all should actually be listening to what I have to say, because the people that have been in my classes and they know and understand that trying to yell energetically through the chat here is you're just putting out bad energy for yourself that's going to come right back to yourself. So it's actually better to say less and to listen more. We have one mouth, we have two ears. Okay? We have one mouth, we have two ears. So we don't need to label things or put ourselves underneath specific things. Okay? Let's just relax. Let's kick back and let's take in some of this information, and you can take this information and go toil in the soil and see if you like what I'm saying or not, or if it's pertinent to you or not. And we can leave it at that. There's no reason to, be going back and forth in the chat with other people. I appreciate that, okay? Unless it's something more constructive, because, again, today's class is actually on the 8th commandment, and the 8th commandment is thou shalt not steal. And when you're putting lower vibrational energies into the chat, which is not everyone, I'm not pointing fingers at everyone, but if you feel like this is true for you, then you feel guilty in putting lower vibrational energies in the chat, then you need to listen to what I'm saying here. The 8th commandment is thou shalt not steal. And what you're doing when you put lower vibrational stuff in the chat, whether it's mine or the next, it doesn't matter. You're stealing from the good energy that is already laden for us all. And also, another thing about when it comes to thou shalt not steal is you should actually be giving. What can I give to this chat? What can I contribute as a soul who has things to contribute? What can I give from a place of wholeness and not from a place of lack? Okay? So if you have something to give, the chat is a great place to put those things. If you have a question or a comment, it's a great thing to put those things, because a question is still giving. Because what if someone else... Welcome, King Perp, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining. We're essentially just making sure energetically here in the chat we're being friendly and nice, because we have a few interesting energies that are a little bit more of a distraction. And as we all know, we should be giving from a place of wholeness, not trying to say lower vibrational things from a place of lack. If we don't have nice things to say, we don't say anything at all. You can have opinions, you can have beliefs, and you can still be extremely respectful, like I myself am showing you how you can be respectful when you have certain ideas. Okay? So, we're here to grow. We're not here to point fingers. We're here to grow together. I say these things to you guys because not only do I work on everything I say, I also have experienced extremes of doing the wrong thing and tripping on myself, tripping on relationships, tripping on things because I have done the wrong thing from a place of lack, not from a place of wholeness. So when I teach, it's things probably resonate very well for you when you hear me speak, because I'm speaking from a place of embodied truth, of having fallen many times, of having crashed out many times. Because, guys, this journey is not anyone is above anyone else. We are all on the same journey. We are just at different levels of ascension, okay? And what we want to do collectively is we want to bring up more people together collectively from a place of embodied truth and leadership, not from a place of, I need to put these people on my back. That's not your job. That's not my job. That's their own job. They're here on the same exact mission you are on here, on Earth, here to do, which is to ascend on a quantum soul level, okay? So, if there's anything anyone would like to contribute in the chat, that's a good place to do it. If you are wanting to be reactive for some of the other energies, if you feel like that's you, that you're more reactive, let's just breathe for a second before popping it in the chat. I appreciate all of y'all for being here, and I want to have a really nice collected energy where we can all grow together. Okay, Mr. Martinez, I'm not sure what you're saying by that. Is that pimpin'? Like big pimpin'? I like that song. Okay, so Essene, which is spelt Essene, comes from the Greek rendering word meaning the healers and the doers. Okay, I'm glad we looked that up. So essentially it's sounding like the disciples, not only the male disciples that we all know that Jesus was with, but he also had a group of female disciples. And those were the disciples that he told more of the secret hidden teachings to, because the world was not ready. As we know, with information, sometimes it can make us take each other's lives, right? Because how many times in life have we seen, to this day, right now, people are taking each other's lives because they believe something different? You see how crazy a little bit of information injected into our system can have the whole world toppling over, right? These things, as I've said before, have to be given to us in small doses that we can adjust and digest. Just like the Apple phone, every single couple of months they're coming out with something small and new and improved so we can digest and we can keep working and keep moving daily. So back to Jesus, from Dolores Cannon's book, Jesus and the Essenes. So essentially when it comes to the 8th commandment here, y'all, let's see, where were we at here in my notes? So he was an Essene teacher, emphasizing the ethical living to foster unity and ascension. Sounds kind of familiar to what we're trying to do in this classroom, huh? Interesting. Now, they emphasized ethical living to foster this unity and ascension, seeing theft as a manifestation of ego's illusion of separation. Now, where taking from another disrupts the universal flow of abundance and also incurs vibrational debt that binds the soul to lower densities. Okay? So, again, when lower energies are popping bad things in the chat, you're taking sacred time from those who are actually looking to ascend, and you'll have your own karmic retribution. Everything's recorded, guys. There's no, I can just do whatever I want. Yeah, that's true to an extent, because the extent is everything comes back to you, sometimes tenfold. So, because lessons are learned the very harsh way. How does one learn self-love? By being loved endlessly by others? No, the way you learn self-love is actually having no one love you. Lessons are harsh, guys, because that's how we actually learn. So why not learn you now, learn you today, learn your lessons, have self-awareness, what you need to learn, right? And then boom, you can transcend these lessons, because when you have to learn lessons, usually to actually have it embedded and imprinted into your soul, it usually does have to be more of an extreme, not as a punishment, but as that's how most people learn, is by extremes, which we don't have to go there. We can integrate wisdom now, right? Why do I talk about self-love like that? Because I've experienced that myself. Absolutely one of my overarching themes of this, like, life path for me, on this life path. So, I'm not sure what you're talking about, Sweet Tooth. So, back to what Cannon says, our girl Dolores Cannon. Adhering to the commandment elevates one's frequency. Aligning with the benevolent creator design of interconnectedness. Where true security arises not from hoarding, but from trusting the infinite supply of the divine. Allowing souls to evolve toward higher realms of love and light without burdensome of lessons of restitution across lifetimes. Yeah, I heard that. I'm trying to learn you today because I don't want to learn me freaking next life. I want to learn this life and make those corrections. Now, we'll go back into what I was speaking on a little bit earlier in the week. Might have been yesterday or the day before, about within the Buddhism, right? Within Buddhism, giving dana, because as we know, when the opposite of taking is giving, right? So, dana is a cornerstone practice embodying generosity, compassion, and is also deeply intertwined with the law of karma, which, as we already know, governs cause and effect. So, the act of giving, whether material aid, protection, sharing, dharma, generates positive karma. So, have you guys ever heard of spiritual merit? It's like your positive karma. There's good and bad karma, right? It's your positive karma bank. You know, you want to always be putting in daily, right, into your spiritual merit, your positive karma bank. And how one really does get there is through living their dharma. Your dharma is your soul purpose, your light's path, learning your lessons that you came here to learn. So when you're putting positive things in your karma bank, or, your spiritual merit bank, it starts getting nice and fatty, nice and plump. That's what we like. We like that to be large. Okay? Exactly. We never really lose anything. We're always really just gaining, because anything that is darkness turns to light over time in divine timing. And the disclaimer that Jesus gave us, and also just in life, the disclaimer is that which is necessary is that which will manifest. So the necessary things that can be deemed maybe or thought of as bad are actually good, because it brings you towards the enlightened phases of reality, the enlightenment. Now, so when it comes to the quality of a gift that you give, the worthiness of the receipt and the giver's mindset amplify the karmic benefits. So as we already know, it's when we talked about Cain and Abel earlier in the week with the murder, Cain had bad intentions, when he was giving his gift to God. And that is why God did not accept it. He's like, what the heck is this? No. So, that when you have intentions, good intentions when you're giving, you are putting good deposits in your spiritual merit, your karma bank, okay? Now, it creates favorable conditions for not only your own happiness, thank you so much, for future happiness as well, and also prosperity and progress towards liberation, good future rebirths when you're repeating your cycle, because as we know, the number 8 here is the endless wheel of eternity, okay? So, giving without expectation of reward, which is the way to give, right? Because as we all know, nothing ever really belongs to us in the first place, to include this body. We're just vehicles, and we're the universe experiencing itself. So, when you give without expectation of reward, you align with the principle of non-self and interdependence. So, this essentially will weaken the 3 poisons within Buddhism, which is greed, hatred, and delusion. And instead, you'll start to cultivate virtues like loving kindness, which, if y'all haven't done a loving kindness meditation yet, I highly recommend. Loving kindness meditations are one of the best ways to forgive yourself and to forgive the people who have done you dirty, 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 wrong, bad. I'm talking bad. Those people that you never want to think about ever again, well, guess what? You should think about them again by giving them loving kindness, so that way you can break any karmic bond ties throughout eternity with these people, so you don't repeat these same loops and patterns. It's giving quantum abundance in the future. Yeah, meditating, we should, King Perp 100%, I hear you loud and clear. We should technically all meditate. I love Solomon. We should all meditate every single day. And guys, again, I don't want to press upon you all these lists of things that you have to do, but I'm telling you right now, meditation is the one thing that I wouldn't go without, because for one, you don't need to do very long. You can start in increments. But the benefits of meditation, you won't see them probably right away. As you start to really get into your practice, you'll learn to love it as well. You're going to be way less reactive. You might already be less reactive, but it's going to help you make more sound decisions. You're going to be able to, essentially, any of your karmic, the bad karmic baggage that you might have, you can start to transcend and transmute some of that, because you're raising your consciousness. We can have a whole other class probably on the benefits of meditation and stuff like that, and all the different kinds of meditation as well. Like transcendental meditation is when you can essentially be in direct channeling with the divine, with the quantum field, and you can ground in information. A lot of people write full books. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. A lot of people write full books, you guys. Full books, start to finish, through transcendental meditation. So if that right there doesn't tell you that you should start meditating, I don't want to point fingers, but get into a practice. The silent meditation is the best, but if you can't start there, if you're like, I need to listen to something, then do the 5 to 7 minutes. I actually have a list on my YouTube channel that I opened up to the channel that's not private anymore, it's public. So if you guys want to look through there, those are some of the ones I'll do if I'm not doing a silent meditation. But if you are doing a silent meditation, you can actually put on a frequency as well instead of just silence, but I do recommend, dabbling with both. And yeah, start to dabble with that, because it's going to change your life. You're going to make better decisions, you're going to make more sound decisions, you're not going to be in such a rush, you're not going to be, you quiet the noise, essentially. You quiet all the noise. It's a beautiful thing, so highly, highly, highly recommend, especially since we're quantum beings, you gotta tap into that quantum once a day, okay? It's going to change your life, and I can't wait till you guys either message me or email me about how some of this stuff and whatever changes your life. John, let's relax, bud. This ain't the time or the place. We're speaking on Jesus' teachings, bud. So why don't we sit down? So, let's actually get back into the philosophy of giving in Buddhism. Transcends the mere transaction and serves as a path to purify karma toward enlightenment. Selfless giving, free from attachment to outcomes or to even receiving, reflects ultimate truth of impermanence. And again, nothing is actually ours, even these bodies, but yet we need to take care of things, right? Now, there's a text that you guys might know about. It's called the Diamond Sutra, and in practices such as almsgiving, they have the dana, which creates a communal karmic cycle that sustains dharma and benefits in all beings. So anytime you give with pure intentions, thank you so much, I appreciate that. Anytime you give with pure intentions, guys, not only are you doing great things for yourself and great things for the person you're giving to, you're doing great things for the collective as well. Okay? So we always think that, oh, we're just, maybe we don't always, but a lot of times we get caught in the space of, oh, I'm just one person. Oh, I'm just, one in this big tank. I'm one little shark in this tank. Whatever it might be. Well, guess what? Everything that you do, even for yourself, self-care, taking care of yourself, ripples lots of abundance into our collective here, because we are the one, we are the all, right? When we take care of ourselves, when we take care of the people around us, right? These things have crazy, crazy ripple effects. Crazy, crazy, good, positive ripple effects within our tapestry of reality, not only now, but in the future as well, okay? We should always, no matter who's watching, right? Because as we already know, God is always watching and God is always found within as well. Behind closed doors, we are living our purpose, living our merits, living our truth, living our beliefs, living our certainty, living our divinity, living the 10 Commandments, the spiritual truths, the spiritual laws, because we know that when we do this, we create crazy abundance, crazy prosperity, ripple effects into eternity. And we elevate our soul. And when we live in purpose, we also elevate the people around us, because they will start to look at you as the leader. The leader doesn't say they're the leader, guys. The leader just is the leader. You know why? It's the energy. You ever had someone walk into a room, the energy shifts, and you're like, that person is like the head honcho. They don't announce themselves. The real leader, the real alpha leader, never announces themselves. They walk in and they are a embodied leader, and they shift the energy in the entire room. Okay? And that is you as well. Right? That is you as well, because you come from a place of purpose, standing in your divinity. A leader of self is a leader of all. Okay? When we can master ourselves, when we know thyself, we can show up and we shift the energy in the room. People will start to act differently. Okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. For example, in my own life, there are a lot of things that are extremely divine that just for example, it's very unlikely that a family member is going to put me down. It's very unlikely. Or when you have respect, self-respect for yourself, people treat you with respect. So, just as a small example, when you have an air of energy, people, and I'm not saying anyone's above or below, but we are technically, everyone's energy is vibrating at a very specific frequency. And as we know, frequency goes from 0, maybe it goes negative, probably, because quantum, everything's possible. But so from 0 frequency to like whatever, I mean thousands and thousands, it's endless, right? What frequency you could be on. Think of each frequency, each number could be one level of transcendence within life. Whoever is at the higher frequency changes the energy of the room, can manipulate and control, not from a place of negativity, because when you're vibrating at the higher frequency, you have a much larger understanding of how everything works, and you're not going to manipulate and control. You control self, and everything else shifts around you. It's a very, very beautiful thing. Very beautiful thing. And again, that's another reason to meditate, because you can increase your frequency as well. Increase your power to use for the good, right? To create, to give back from a place of certainty that all your needs are met and more. Now, we'll shift into the Kabbalah. I had a few more notes on the Buddhism, but essentially we all understand the benefits of giving from a place of certainty, from a place of wholeness, right? And how good it feels when we do that as well. It's extremely beneficial for us to give from that standpoint. So, as you guys already know, I'm obsessed with all things Jewish mysticism. It's giving potential future life. So, what some of these Kabbalists would say about thou shalt not steal, our 8th commandment, is it transcends its literal prohibition against theft, embodying a profound safeguard for cosmic balance and eternal continuity, giving the number 8 on its side. So when we're aligned with victory and eternity on the Tree of Life, we have endurance and the transmissions of spiritual heritage. Okay, so the Kabbalists would interpret this commandment on multiple levels. So on the surface, as a ban on kidnapping or stealing human freedom, since such acts would sever the chain of generational legacy, right, and also, as we know, disrupt the divine flow. On a deeper level, they would also state that it's a reminder every soul is given its own vessel. Doesn't matter what you call it, vessel, vehicle, it doesn't matter. It's a human suit. Human suit. Sounds kind of weird. Yeah, for any of you, which there are a couple elite members now in this classroom who have purchased the Dolores Cannon book on life, what is it? Death in Life. I don't know why I'm forgetting what it's called, but essentially it's her book on death and life. And yeah, there's some mind-bending, mind-convoluting chapters towards the end about our human suits. And once you read those chapters, you'll know what I'm saying. You'll be like, we are in human suits, like vessels, vehicles. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that right now because it's mind-bending and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet, but there's a lot, guys, that we learn and grow together. Okay. Getting back to what... Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. So, time seems to be going slow, which is good. This is very good. I feel like we're covering a lot of good ground here in the time that we've had. It's been about an hour since I've been on, so thank you all for being here. I did not drink enough water today. Intermission, y'all. Intermission. Okay, so back to what our good old Kabbalists would say. Essentially, I might have to, whisper. Crap. I had to do the puzzle to make sure I'm not a robot. Or am I? Just kidding. Joke's on you, I am. I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah, I digress. Now, back to... You might want to turn up your volume a little bit, because I might be whispering a little bit more. So, back to our Kabbalist here, with what they would say on the 8th commandment of thou shalt not steal. Okay, so it essentially disrupts divine flow, and on a deeper level, it reminds us that the soul is given its own vessel of sustenance and blessing. So to steal is to interrupt divine flow and siphoning energy gives me the ultimate, I hate when people siphon energy. So it's, to me, so evil. But you interrupt divine flow, siphoning vitality, aka energy, that was never meant for you. And in doing so, you distort the balance between the chesed, which is loving kindness, and the gevura, which is justice. Those are sephiras on the Tree of Life. Now, their teachings also emphasize that stealing obstructs your Tikkun, which we know Tikkun, if you've been in this class, Tikkun is the soul lessons within the Kabbalah. And the soul's rectification, and the elevation of scattered sparks of holiness. So, theft is not only of possessions, but we also know theft can be of anything. It can be of time, it can be of honor, dignity, joy, and even from God when we fail to see our gifts in service of creation. So that's giving Buddhism side of things if we're not in our dharma, right? We're not living out of our dharma. Our dharma is our purpose. Okay? If you don't know what your purpose is, Jesus says it pretty clearly. He says, don't do what you don't like to do. So what do you like to do? That's kind of your purpose. Outside of that, meditate and find the answers and ask for the answers, and you'll be given those answers if you don't know. But yeah, so at the Sod level of the Tree of Life, stealing is understood as an ego-driven illusion. It's illusion because you're taking something that's not yours and thinking that it's going to benefit you and be yours, right? So when someone steals, we already know they're coming from a place of lack, rooted in fear and desperation from God's limited infinite abundance. So when we steal, whether it be something tangible or intangible, when we steal, we're saying, God, you don't provide enough for me. And we all know God also resides within, so we're also going against ourselves, not only others, right? Thus, when we refrain from theft, this is not just a social ethic, but a cosmic act of spiritual alignment, and it will preserve the harmonious interdependence of all beings. We are the one, we are the all, and allows for divine light to flow unobstructed through the vessels of creation. Okay, and as we know, the Kabbalists say, when we can transform our vessels to hold more light, divine light, that's when we can actually bring in miracles and abundance into our lives. So, let's go to our boy Toddle here. Are you guys enjoying this? Let me know. So, our boy Toddle, Aristotle, as we understand and already know, the Aristotle back in the old Greek days and Roman days, this was before the 10 Commandments were put together, or even part of our central Western moral thought. However, we can kind of apply what Aristotle wrote and taught into what he might potentially say about the current, 10 Commandments here. So, with his book about ethics, he stresses that justice is giving each person what they are due, and that any injustice arises when one takes more than what belongs to them, depriving another of their rightful share. Okay? Theft, therefore, disrupts the natural order of society, violates equity, destroys trust, and undermines harmony of the polis. As we know, the polis is the, community. Thank you so much. The opolis, the city, the citadel, the wherever. Okay, y'all, is Sweet Tooth? I can't tell if Sweet Tooth is being annoying or not. Let me know. Sweet Tooth, let's just calm down. I'm not sure what you're trying to say or ask, but every time I read what you're saying, it's not giving. It's not giving what it needs to give. So let's relax. Let's put our hands down and relax. If you have a good question, then please write it out. If not, let's not be disruptive while people are trying to learn. And yeah. And as we've been talking every single day, the boy Aristotle, always discussed flourishing as a human, and flourishing entails ethics, living from morals, living from a sound, grounded, deeply rooted place of morals. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So, when someone steals, our boy Toddle would say it's a fracture in the common good of the opolis. So essentially he would view the 8th commandment as a timeless safeguard for justice, ensuring that citizens honor both material and moral boundaries in pursuit of a virtuous life. Okay? So now we're going to get into my favorite portion of our series, where we talk about how these spiritual truths reflect and mirror into our scientific things that we can, quantify and see, essentially. Okay. Gains all day. We out here with the gains. That's what we do out here. We be gaining. Quantum gains. If it ain't quantum, I don't want it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm done with things not being quantum leaps. Quantum growth, quantum beings. And we all have these, our quantum resides within. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Cool. Community guide joined. Who's that? Community guidelines? That's funny. Thank you for being here. So we're actually discussing many things within many different religions. We're not discussing ethnicities right now. But as we get back into this portion of our 10 Commandments, number 8, thou shalt not steal, linking that spiritual truth that we just spoke on to some of these scientific truths. Now, essentially, the scientific energy of the spiritual energy. So, the spiritual energy of number 8 is a divine imperative against violation of another's rightful domain. Now, echoing themes of cosmic balance, interdependence, and sacred flow, abundance that manifests as subtle imprints across all the different scientific disciplines, revealing to us, you guys, universal patterns that penalize exploitation and reward ethical reciprocity, This reminds us that the systems thrive through balance, they thrive through fairness, they thrive through respect for boundaries, and they collapse when theft replaces cooperation. So, we'll first start with physics, which I'm obsessed with. I love me some physics. So, the commandment resonates through the law of conservation of energy, which we all know, energy is neither created or destroyed, it's transferred. Nothing can be taken without consequence. Energy must come from somewhere, and imbalance appears elsewhere. The second law is of thermodynamics, deepening the reflection with entropy. As we know, entropy, for example, is when you take an ice cube and you look at a perfect ice cube and it starts to melt. That's entropy, because the disorder is increasing because you have all your the atoms of the ice cube melting, and all the molecules are separating. So that's disorder. It's not a structure anymore, right? That is what entropy is, essentially, okay? For those that don't know. Now, when you have entropy, it's higher chaos, higher disorder, is what entropy is. Its inevitable increase mirrors karmic debt. Unauthorized taking of energy leads to disorder and inefficiency. While balanced, reversible changes sustain equilibrium. Within quantum physics, we also have the interconnectedness of particles, suggesting that disrupting one part of the system unjustly ripples across the whole, much like theft fractures trust and order. So, within biology, we'll do a little bit of evolutionary biology. Game theory shows that cheater strategies, organisms, parasites, type of energies, where they parasitize resources without contributing. So they're taking from the whole without giving. They may win in the short term, right? But collapse ecosystems in the long term. In contrast, when we have more cooperative strategies, like the kin selection in social insects, this fosters resilience and survival. Biology also demonstrates that ecosystems thrive on exchange, not theft. So when one species is over-consuming, collapse follows. The dynamics mirror the commandment's wisdom that stealing from the collective web of life invites extinction. Because one's out of balance, it's not giving 0 turned on its side and twisted into the 8 infinity. It's giving entropy, disorder, chaos. Now, reciprocity, as we know, sustains abundance. We can all think of times in our lives where we really needed something and it was given to us, and how amazing that felt to have been blessed with said whatever, whether it be intangible or tangible, right? Neuroscience and psychology, I'll get into that a little bit. We all understand psychologically what can happen with stealing. It's essentially a boundary violation and will erode identity, safety, and trust. Some cognitive dissonance theory shows that when individuals steal, they experience psychological entropy, psychological disorder, psychological chaos, and they have guilt, stress, and also inner conflict, which disrupts their mental health. For neuroscience, we know that theft or deception disrupts the brain's reward and pathway systems. Now, this will create moral injury, while pro-social giving will activate our oxytocin and fulfillment. Okay. So, yeah, and when we give and we have more oxytocin driven fulfillment, thank you so much, appreciate that. We reinforce fairness and connectedness with our opolis, as our boy Toddle would say, our community. So moral development highlights that justice is learned through understanding why taking isn't ours harms social bonds. Okay. Let's get into a little bit of economics. Before we do that, I do want to highlight too, yesterday we were talking about covalent bonds, right? Well, as we know, a covalent bond is where the two atoms share one of their outer or multiple of their outer electrons, right? So we have like the nucleus, the protons and all that, and then you have like two electrons, and then you have an outer shell of electrons. Okay, within that outer shell, when you have a covalent bond, you have two of your atoms that are sharing a couple of those outer electrons for ultra stability within the perfect environment dynamics as well. That's giving ultimate giving and receiving because it's balanced. It's also giving the number 8 on its side, eternity. A neutron is inside the nucleus of the atom. So within economics, guys, this formalizes the Commandment's truths in models like the tragedy of the commons. Overfishing, pollution, or any unchecked resource appropriation depletes shared goods and can lead to collapse. When we have sustainable property rights, cooperative Nash equilibria, we govern on the governing commons, show that non-stealing behaviors, structured reciprocity, and respect for limits are rational imperatives for long-term prosperity collectively. So stealing will destabilize markets as well, slowly over time, or quickly, depending on what it is, and it, of course, stealing discourages trust and corrodes social contracts that sustain society. It's giving entropy. It's giving chaos, right, when we steal, or when people steal. Now, we'll go into chemistry a little bit. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. He might be French or something. Le Chatelier's principle. So this principle essentially states that when a system's equilibrium is disturbed by stealing reactants or products, it shifts into imbalance, often reducing its efficiency. Okay. The respectful catalyst and balance reactions preserve order and productivity, and will illustrate that even at the molecular level, guys, injustice removal destabilizes systems. It's like, it's kind of wild that we can find all the spiritual wisdom within science. I do highly recommend to whatever you guys are interested in science-wise to, traverse down those rabbit holes, because I think you'll be able to find a lot of good spiritual knowledge studying science. It's giving Scientology or whatever. Y'all, this ain't no Scientology. Water is water, fire is fire. This ain't no Scientology class, but essentially this is... Scientology cracks me up. We gotta save some of these people. Like, who's the guy that's well known for Scientology? What's his name? The actor? I forget his name. Tom Cruise. Oh my gosh, we gotta save him. Tommy boy, if you're out there, hopefully you can hear us. We'll come save you, brother, from Scientology. The bad thing about Scientology, guys, is I'm sure there's a lot of bad things that I don't know. The one bad thing I do know is the manipulation and control. Essentially, they will take your right to live, essentially. Yeah, it's bad. It's giving cult. It's giving... Yeah, it's not giving at all. It's taking. It's entropy. It's destruction. It's not good. Anyways, I digress. Back to our science here. Let's go more into entropy a little bit. With information science, one of the principles that emerges is Shannon's entropy. So essentially, it's unauthorized access or data theft, creating increased disorder and uncertainty in system vulnerability. Now, intellectual property theft, plagiarism, and hacking disrupts innovation and informational integrity, while secure protocols embody ethical safeguard of non-intrusion and mirror the Commandment's border protection of dignity, trust, and knowledge. Okay. With ecology, we have when we steal too much from nature, as we already have kind of suggested. For example, deforestation or pollution or overfishing, collapse always follows. Sustainability models show that a balanced reciprocity, not only with ourselves but with Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, will maintain our ecosystems. And we already know that exploitation of these systems leads to crisis and entropy, chaos, reflecting the universal law that taking without respect will actually fracture the delicate symmetries of life. So, across all these different disciplines, y'all, we see the exact same truth, and the truth is that violation fractures the universe's delicate order, doesn't matter how big or how small, while reverence for boundaries will actually sustain harmony. So, our 8th commandment in the Bible is actually not just a moral law, it's a universal law, scientific law, a spiritual quantum evolution law. When we are aligned with this law and balanced in reciprocity and giving and respect, we actually regenerate abundance, okay? And we have plethora of resources and energy, dignity. When we choose to take, we sow entropy, chaos, we sow collapse, disconnection, disorder, all the descriptive words you could think of. So, this commandment, thou shalt not steal, is an energetic law that will actually imprint a profound truth across many disciplines for us to foster a greater humanity collectively and cause us to keep evolving beyond greed and toward enlightenment and stewardship. So, what I really want to challenge you guys of this week or this month or, as soon as you can, I really want to challenge us to give, of course, without expecting return. But the deeper challenge I actually want to challenge you guys on, don't put yourself in the hole and, 6 feet under with this. But the other challenge I want to challenge you on is not only giving without expectation for return, but giving something that you actually want. As not to put you 6 feet under, don't give your whole life to someone because you're like, well, that's what I want. Giving from a place of, man, I actually wanted to enjoy that, but I'm going to give this instead to this person. Because, again, we already know that we're divinely taken care of. We already know that. Thank you so much. We already know that. We already know that nothing is ours, not even these human suits, not even these vehicles, okay? We already know that all of this is a gift, and also to be able to give is a gift as well. And so I do challenge you to do two types of giving when it makes sense. Give, of course, without expectation of return for both of these times, but also give something that you might want for yourself, because it'll help you to internalize these truths a little bit more. Not putting yourself 6 feet under for giving something away, but giving something away that is something that you actually really want to potentially have for yourself, okay? It'll teach you how to just not come from a place of lack no matter what it is. It's like doing a rep in the gym. When you do a hard rep in the gym, it's a harder rep, a giving rep, to give something that you actually want to keep for yourself than it is to be like, oh, this is extra. It's easy for me to give, right? Now, of course, our intentions behind anything we give is what actually matters, not what we give. What we give does not matter. The intention behind what we give is what matters. Okay? But yeah, I challenge you to do that, because when you do something like that to that degree, to that level of giving something that you might have wanted for yourself to keep, it's going to ripple back in abundance to you, because again, nothing was ever ours in the first place. We're just stewards of these resources that we have, okay? So, yeah, tomorrow we're going to be jumping into, on the 9th day of October, the 9th commandment of you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. We shall not lie, okay? And the spiritual meanings behind that. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. We got freaking 10 people, 8.2k likes. We're out here doing crazy things. Thank you guys for being here. Now is a great time to pop anything into the chat. Please keep it more constructive if you can. Any questions, comments, concerns, stuff like that. Any insights that you guys have had since learning all of the different stuff that I've kind of been going through with y'all. If anyone wants to pop any last minute things in the chat, I'd love to know. And feel free to message me as well. If there's something you'd rather not have in this chat, you'd want to send me a personal note. Yeah, so usually, I hope you guys like this. Usually I end with prayer. And then, George Washington, what are you saying, Sweet Tooth? I'm not really understanding. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and do a prayer. Okay, so I don't know, Sweet Tooth, this might not be the classroom for you. It's sounding like you're a little bit further behind. You might be in a different class. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. I'll go ahead and yeah, I'm just like, Sweet Tooth, like, yeah, I'm sorry, I appreciate y'all, come back. I'm gonna let you come back at a later date when you've advanced at least just a little bit more. Right now you're kind of dragging the class, okay? Yeah, that was a block, guys, because I can unblock these people at any time, but we need to just sometimes cut the heavy weight off. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, the whole time I was so confused. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay, yeah. I got him blocked so he won't be seeing that again. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Taking up all your guys' precious space. So, I'll go ahead and end it with prayer. If you guys want to pop anything in the chat, feel free. Now is a good time. And we will reconvene mañana together. Okay. Gotta get the chakras. Thanks, Nicole. I appreciate you. You're so sweet. Okay. I might whisper this a little bit. Divine All, Divine One, the God within, thank you for our shared time together where we can quantum leap towards everything that is in store when we reach enlightenment and as we ascend through the depths of the lower dense energies into the higher high vibrational frequencies that are endless and all giving. We thank you for the ability to gather and learn, the ability to gather and grow, to gather and build what we know. Please keep us deeply rooted in the spiritual wisdom of these commandments. As we understand, the deeper we are rooted in spiritual wisdom, the higher we can climb in quantum success. I pray for all the souls on the other side of the screen and all the souls that are intertwined with these energies, that you might raise us together to higher vibrational states, that we may open up our vessels for transformation to hold more divine light. Thank you for the opportunity to do so, that we may also not look outside of ourselves for power, for certainty, for love, for the fruits of the Spirit, that we also might go out from a place of self-control, rooted deeply in our morals, rooted deeply in our understanding of the unconditional love that is available to us when we uphold our spiritual truths. Thank you for the opportunity to do so. Our hearts stay in gratitude eternally. In Jesus' name, amen. It's so cool when I open my eyes and there's still the same amount of people. I love that. You guys are so awesome. You guys are so awesome. Amen. Thank you so much, Ethan. Appreciate you. Thank you, Caden. Appreciate you. Connor, appreciate you. Is it Connor? It's giving Connor. Thank you. Every single day from 8 to 10 Pacific Standard, we will be here striving and quantum leaping together. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a cool way to spell it, Connor. I love that. Connor. Love that. I appreciate you guys. You guys are literally the highlight of my day. I did do a post on my social accounts today that was in gratitude towards all of my beautiful souls that joined me here and I really, really appreciate you. I did have a moment of shedding a tear. I did shed tear. It's giving caveman. I shed tear. Because, y'all, for me, it's one thing to understand some of these things, but to be able to share it and have it be not only well received, but the fact that you guys really want to apply some of these things and also inspire me, the best way to learn is to actually teach. So for me, it's ultra fulfilling to be able to do this. So I really respect you guys, and I really care about you guys, and I do pray for you guys every day outside of this classroom, because I know, we are only as great as our weakest link, and we all rise together, right? We don't rise separately, we rise together. So I do pray for you guys every single day. And yeah, we on that quantum life, we on that quantum leap. It's giving quantum, because we don't deserve anything less than exactly what we're capable of, which is quantum. Okay? So, appreciate y'all. Yeah, we're gonna do 9 and then 10, and then after that, I'm gonna leap right into Charlie Kirk, because I had a request, and I actually have a good amount of information that I was piling up to actually do a long form YouTube video, but instead of doing that, I will do a session. I think I could probably do a Charlie Kirk session within 2 hours. If not, it might be like a 2-day thing, but then after that, we're just gonna keep going. I'll probably do whatever you guys request, and then also, yeah. The 10 Commandments kind of was inspired by Charlie Kirk, because that's something that he kept saying throughout a lot of his, I was eating up a lot of his information when the unfortunate event happened, and he kept on saying the 10 Commandments, 10 Commandments, 10 Commandments, and I'm like, shoot. So that is actually already linked to Charlie Kirk. He is for sure one of the people who inspired this session or series. Because I was like, dang, it's something that's so simple, 10 Commandments, but they fulfill all of these different spiritual truths, not only within spirit, but within nature, because everything is mirrored. I also do want to dive into, in some future sessions, probably, like, piecing together more missing information between Jesus and religion and all that good stuff, because there's a lot. Yeah, Charlie is, he's so amazing. He's so amazing. Yeah, I've got some theories too. I would bet money that he was actually one of the founding fathers. I put it into ChatGPT and I put it into Grok to see. I should probably, I'll have to repeat this in the class because I'm going to talk about this, but I was like, based on what Charlie Kirk says and has said, what is mirrored within our founding fathers? I think it was John Adams. They're both saying John Adams. Yeah, it's super interesting. Because I'm like, okay, you guys, when you start to open up your mind more and more to the concepts, in this classroom and beyond, where you guys do your own studies, especially things within Dolores Cannon's teachings, and when we start to reflect on how our past life imprints and future life imprints are mirrored in the now, you'll start to see and hear things differently as well. And I'm going to point some of this stuff out in our class on Charlie Kirk. There's times where he said, it'll be something so faint, like if I were here 100 years ago, and he was talking about being in whatever city hall that the founding fathers were in. Little things like that. If I were here 100 years ago, I would have blah, blah, blah. The thing is, he probably was here 100 years ago doing that, just in that space. You hear me? So a lot of times we don't know. We're not really aware. We're supposed to forget. Our soul imprints need to forget because we had a lot of karma baggage probably in those lifetimes, right? Where we don't want to bring that into our next lifetime. We have to shed those things and renew, right? Shed and renew, shed and renew. That is the cycle, right? You rinse and repeat, you recycle, and new things are born, okay? Same thing with our souls, or our bodies, right? Or just vessels. Anyways, I would literally bet money that he was probably John Adams, and a part of the founding fathers. And there's a lot of different reasons why, and we can kind of get into that in the next class, but it's freaking crazy. You're just going to start looking at things differently, to the point where it's just a matter of, within this life, guys, our personalities a lot of times are similar, and they stay pretty much the same. It's an energy, and our body is the vessel. So you're putting an energy into a vessel, and you're having that vessel bop around and do its human thing in its human suit. So the body might change the form, but the energetic essence, it develops over time. As we know, we learn and we grow, and we have life lessons that develop us, but a lot of the energetic essence of the person's personality is not going to wither. It's going to be like an energetic stamp across that ripples across lifetimes. So that's how you can start putting 2 and 2 together, or at least making really close guesses as to who people were in past lives, which is really fun. It's like the ultimate puzzle, because you start to listen to things differently. You start to pick up on these small nuances that most people might overlook. And yeah, you really do start to look at things differently. I'll give you one last one before we close out. There's this one gentleman on TikTok. I don't know what his name is, but he's completely disheveled. He's quite large. He almost looks like he's disabled. He almost looks like the Hunchback. He's giving Hunchback Notre Dame kind of vibe. He's got the hunchback and all of these things. I'm not putting him down at all. I'm describing what his vessel looks like. His vessel is quite deranged, okay? Now, with this gentleman, he's got a huge following on TikTok, and he also is hilarious, very creative. He also posts he's very smart too. So from the outer aspect, his body is deranged. He does not fit into society, for the society norms, that biases that society has, right? How do we know this? Because he'd stick out like a sore thumb anywhere he went, because he looks quite odd from a loving aspect. Now, why do I say this? Because I watched a lot of his videos. I was like, these are good. Like, they're entertaining. He's very intelligent, even though at first glance you might think he's not. It's giving Hunchback Notre Dame, right? He doesn't look very intelligent. But you listen to his TikToks. He's hilarious. He's creative. He's smart. He's funny. Like, I digress. So I'm streaming. I'm looking through his TikToks, and I'm like, this energy. Who is this energy? And he posts too a lot of TikToks where he shows his daily struggles. And you guys, when I tell you his life is about every single day he's just trying to survive, everything is hard for him. He can't even open up a plastic fork spoon when he's going to sit down to eat at like the grocery, when they give you the plastic spoon in the plastic little bag. He can't even barely open that by himself. When I tell you everything for this man is a struggle to survive. So, why do I tell you this? Because when I was looking through this energetic imprint, seeing how every single thing that this soul does is from a place of struggling to survive. It was giving an energetic imprint of Hitler. And the reason I say that is because, for one, Hitler for sure is reincarnated, whether it be right now or not. He comes back. the only reason I'm bringing up Hitler is because we've talked about this in class before, like his process, because he's like technically what one would probably consider Satan on Earth that was in human form, right? So he's a really easy one to talk about when it comes to these cycles of death and rebirth that we have, and like how does one, when one has that many atrocities, what happens when they get reincarnated? Because there's no such thing as souls being thrown away. There's no such thing as Hades and purgatory. There's no such thing as bad souls being locked up. What's on the other side, guys, is there's souls that have to rest, and they have to go through much more learning processes if they're at a lower rung on the energetics or vibrational frequency, right? If they're at a lower rung, they have to do a lot more. But they still get reincarnated because it's a soul. It's the earth experience, or the universe experiencing itself. So what you'll find is how does that karma work itself out? Well, it's not just going to work it out in one lifetime, because it's way too much serious karma to work out in one lifetime, okay? But it's going to be spread out with, we don't know, we can't quantify what that would look like, how many lifetimes, because as you also know, within each lifetime, you can get yourself racked up with more bad and good karma, depending, right? So who knows what that soul's cycle will look like. But what I can tell you is it will probably be something like the gentleman I saw on TikTok, where every single thing that they do, like essentially breathing air, is a fight for survival. The gentleman was extremely smart and extremely creative. Both things that we know Hitler had as well, but those energies went south. They went south instead of building up his community through creative aspects, like he had love for country over love for God. He could have done his creative channel into building buildings, essentially. Architecture would have been a great. Dude had plenty of energy. Plenty of creative energy, nowhere to channel it. So it's flopped on itself and went towards destruction. Now, anyways, so I just wanted to kind of give you that, because I'm like, man, it's so weird to look through when you start to study these things of how past lives kind of reincarnate into the now, and what would that look like. It's quite entertaining, and it's quite mind convoluting, mind bending. Because to me, when I see extremely talented, extremely smart, extremely creative, every single thing they do is a struggle to survive, it's giving Hitler. But the cool thing is, you see, I'm watching this gentleman's life as he's sharing it quite openly online, which is kind of cool. He shares his struggles, and it's like, damn, can barely open a spoon to feed himself, like with the plastic. We all know those plastic things, you just go boop, it's right open. Barely can open those little plastic from China, right? It's quite interesting to me how these things play out, and how also generous and how unconditionally loving the universe is. Because from our 3D, 4D perspective here, we're like, that soul belongs in purgatory, belongs in hell, belongs in Hades, locked up, never to be seen again. But that doesn't happen. What happens is the soul is recycled and renewed through many struggles to survive. Why? Because person has had an institution of killing millions of people. Okay? So that's just one energy imprint of this lifetime. Also, the gentleman had like lighter colored eyes and blondish hair. So I'm like, I don't know. To me, it's giving Hitler incarnated. Now, the reason we aren't to know these things, and it's probably not something that I should even discuss, because then it's like, oh, if someone is this is why, again, we are erased of our memory when we come back, because we might want to kill other people. If someone had a stamp on them and was like, I'm Hitler reincarnated, that's probably not going to go so well. That person's probably going to die. Because there are many people who are emotionally still trying to recover, right, from that. And it's also atrocious in general. So this is why we aren't to actually know who reincarnates when and why and as what. But you can kind of start to kind of piece here and there things together just based on energetics from a place of unconditional love, not from a place of wanting to harm another person, right? Yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting. I just wanted to share that because, yeah, as you grow in your knowledge of understanding the past, the present, the future, you're going to start looking at things much, much differently. You're going to start hearing things much, much differently. You're going to pick up on very small intricacies and delicacies that are interwoven into our timelines, because we're all doing this collectively together. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, guys. And yeah, the good thing about the universe and the karma blanket is, you know, we never have to bat an eye. No matter how atrocious someone is in one lifetime, we never have to bat an eye. It's going to play out. And believe me, it's going to be fair and it's going to be just. And then from an outsider looking in, you might say, oh man, looking at this guy's profile, right? I'm like, man, I feel in my heart, you know, the compassion towards him of the struggle to survive. For the smallest things, dude is literally every single day struggling to survive. But at the end of the day, we need to understand too, this is the karmic play out that person needs to have because of their own karmic injustices that they have done in the past, in a past life. So we can show up and have compassion for everyone, but at the end of the day, when it comes to karma playing itself out, it's playing itself out. The disclaimer of life is that which is necessary, is that which is manifested. Okay? That which is necessary is that which is manifested. Yeah. Anywho, so, yeah. I appreciate you guys. Dolores Cannon also talks, like, a lot of the stuff I talk about that's, like, mind-boggling is Dolores Cannon. Yeah, you guys too, I appreciate y'all. We'll be here again tomorrow at 8, Thursday. Have the most beautiful evening. Thank you as well. That's so kind. Thank you guys. Good night. All the blessings. We are quantum beings.